My name is Yudit, and I am absolutely uh, thrilled to be here with you from far. It is lovely that the ambassador of Peru has invited me to speak about a project that is very close to my heart, and that is bringing the work that we've created in Israel to Latin America, specifically Peru, since we haven't gotten there yet. So this is our first day bringing Empowerment Self-Defense to Peru, and I am super excited about that. So the program in Israel is called El Halev, and we are about building safer communities. The major course that we teach and teach all over the country to every different size, shape, and age of woman and girl is called Freedom to Choose. The goal being that you will have many options to choose from in order to keep yourself safe. And on that, we're going to talk about the problem first. So a bunch of years ago, the Me Too movement started, and most of us women had this visceral reaction of, yeah, it's about time. Yes, we know this. We feel this. We've been part of this. And now they're talking about it. And I think that was the major change. The major change was we are no longer going to not talk about the problem. And the problem is that there is a violence epidemic. And clearly, we know that during Corona, it's actually gotten worse. And that makes sense on a lot of levels, but I'm not going to go into the psychology of Corona and violence. But what we do know, according to the World Health Organization, is that 1 in 3 women will experience violence within her lifetime. And that's 1 in 5 girls and 1 in 6 boys. So what we're seeing is that violence is actually affecting girls and boys similarly, different types of violence and different variations of violence, but it's still violence. And when you look at does this apply also in Latin America, you'll see that it really doesn't matter where in the world you go, these statistics are more or less the same. So again, based on the World Health Organization, intimate partner violence against women in the Americas, okay? 1 in 3 ever partnered women ages 15 to 49 in the Americas have experienced physical and or sexual violence by a partner. And what's important to hear in the piece on by a partner is that a majority of the violence is with someone you care about and you love. And that's very different than the stranger in the street who jumps out of the bushes. So while that stranger violence does happen, it's not the majority of violence. And therefore, when you look for a solution to the problem, you've got to look for a solution that actually can deal with that. So yes, over the last few years, at least up into 2017, there is some level of reduction. If you look at Peru, there's less violence against women, but we're still talking about 30% of women experiencing physical interpersonal violence. And while the percentages are lower on sexual interpersonal violence, that's sexual violence within a relationship, while that is lower, that's once you're already partnered. But this is the problem. And we can talk about the problem forever. Sexual violence in childhood and adolescence, it's huge. 38 low, middle, and income countries, close to 17 million adult women reported having experienced forced sex in childhood. This is from UNICEF. And ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, about 50% of the kids are experiencing them, and the majority of them are related to abuse and violence. So I am not interested in spending a lot of time on talking about the problem. I want to talk about the solution because it's time for us to spend more time and resources in developing solutions. And that's the recommendation of the World Health Organization. More resources are needed to strengthen the prevention of and response to intimate partner and sexual violence, including primary prevention, stopping it from happening in the first place. So where does this begin? Well, it begins with education. So how do we change the educational system that our children are being raised in a way where it promotes safety of their bodies? Look at the video and tell me what you feel when you see this, what you're seeing, and I'm going to talk you through it. So who's playing with the puppies at the moment? Is it the dad? Is it the mom? Yeah, it's the mom. And what are they playing? They're like play fighting, right? Can you tell the difference in the genders of the puppies based on how they behave? And at a lecture once, somebody said to me, oh, she's setting a boundary. She's not letting them nurse. And I'm like, great, she's teaching them boundaries. This is perfect. So what I see when I see this video, which I absolutely love, is a mom understanding that for her children to survive in the world, they have to know how to fight. They have to know how to protect themselves. They have to know how to, rumble and tumble and get in there and do the things that make sense. They have to go after their food. And so how do we, when we come to children, to educating children today, we give different messages. It's as if this mother dog would be saying to the girl puppies, hey, you know what, maybe you should sit on the sidelines and not get dirty, and you might get hurt, and you're not strong enough to protect. Well, excuse me? No, we need to be telling our girl puppies, just as we tell our boy puppies, that if anybody tries to hurt you, you have a right to defend yourself. You are capable. And you know what? Honestly, I have 2 dogs, a boy and a girl. I wouldn't take a bone away from either of them, because that girl dog, she will be vicious if I try to take a bone from her. So how do we bring that back into our education? We bring it back through empowerment, self-defense. And to me, there is importance in all 3 of those words. Yes, it's about empowerment. It's about helping people step into their power to realize that most of the time, the answer is already within them. It's about taking care of yourself. And it's about using the skills to defend yourself, not to perpetrate violence. So the messages are very clear, and they are about what we want and how we want it and what we're willing to do to keep ourselves as safe as possible. And empowerment self-defense is based on 5 principles. Think, yell, run, fight, and tell. Think is about using your head. Good for me, bad for me, scary, irritating, life-threatening. What do I want to do? What can I do? Is there someone else who might be able to help me? Is there someone else who might mean me harm? I'm here and somebody's trying to drag me for a cup of coffee and there's a van waiting there on the corner. I'm not feeling very happy about that. So I need to assess the situation. I need to think. I need to engage my brain to put things together for me. And I need to stay connected with that inner voice that we very often shut up. It's like oh, but he's a nice person and he really means well and he was just having a bad day and. No, if I'm not feeling comfortable, then I want to know I can respect that. Think, yell, use your voice. We teach people to yell, back off, now! So that one day they'll be comfortable saying, hey, you know what? I don't want you sitting next to me. Not okay. Please find another seat. And that yelling is not just about the big scary voice. It's about knowing that my voice is a tool, is a way to defend myself. It's a skill that I can develop, and that I need to get really comfortable using the word no, because no is really considered unacceptable in most cultures for women. No, I'm not interested in going to the party. What do you mean? Come on, just join. We're gonna. No, I said I'm not interested. No, I don't want to go. No, I don't want to cook for the weekend. I'm very busy right now. Ooh, it doesn't feel right, and it's hard for women to connect with a clean, clear no. So we believe that when you actually practice your no in a loud, strong way, the quiet no becomes a lot easier, because you're grounded in your no. And we know that people who have a very clear no and practice setting clear no's, their yeses get a lot more honest and empowered, because they say yes when they mean it, and not out of pressure, not out of peer pressure. Yet, I'm going to come back to run. Think, yell, fight. So, what's the problem with fight? What's the problem with yell? So, the answer is fight. Why? Because if I'm afraid what's going to happen when I set a boundary and that other party is upset that I set a boundary, and now they lose it and come lunging at me, and I won't know what to do if it gets physical, then I may not set the boundary. So the skills of fight are there not because I want to use them, but because it's good for me to know that I can use them if I have to, so that when I set that boundary, I know I'm covered. I know what to do. And that makes setting the boundary a lot easier. So think, yell, run. Yeah, of course. Run if you can. But I don't always get the chance to measure how fast the other person can run before running away. Nor do I want to turn my back to what might be a dangerous situation. So running for us, yes, it means if you can get out of a situation, can get away from a situation, run as fast as you can. And for kids, that's the biggest advice we give, because the chances are kids will run faster than any adult. But the running is really about taking the space you need to solve the problem. So backing away and saying, hey, you know what? I don't want to have this conversation right now. I need a break. I'm going to move away, get out of the situation, spend some time doing some self-care, figure out what my words are, figure out what my fight is, what's worth fighting for, what's not worth fighting for. And then I can go back into the situation and say, okay, this is what was not okay as far as I see it. So run is a metaphorical run in addition to being a physical run. Think, yell, run, fight. And in quoting my friend Clara Porter, fight if you have to, not because you want to, knowing you have the right to. Fight is about, I have a right to protect me. Think, yell, run, fight, tell. Tell is about being able to share your story with people who you know will be supportive and non-judgmental. And while we teach people about the piece of tell, our goal isn't just on the side of the person telling. Our goal is to educate people on how to receive a story without judgment and to give the power back to the person telling the story. So we tend to teach most of us teach a formula of receive the story. Wow, I am so honored you chose me to tell your story to. That should have never happened to you. How can I help you right now? And that gives power back to the person who's sharing the story. So one of my deepest beliefs is that the greatest gift we have ever been given in this world is our body. So my body, my right to protect it, my soul, my person, my talents, my gift. And I have not only a right to protect it, but a responsibility to protect them. Just as I want to eat healthy and I want to take care of my body the best I can, I want other people to respect it also. And responsibility when it comes to violence in women tends to be a bit of a triggering word. But what I'm not saying is we are responsible for the violence perpetrated against us. What I am saying is that we want to be able to respond. And in order to be able to respond, we have to have the tools and the training and the skills and the belief in our worth and our ability and our rights to be able to respond. So how did I end up speaking in Peru about empowerment self-defense? Well, in Israel, we have a very strong tradition of being a startup nation. And 20 years ago, when we started El Halev, which means to the heart, we were looking for a solution for women who wanted to learn martial arts and self-defense, and then came into a world of all sorts of rules and regulations, and we had to figure out how to become the best instructors that we could be. So over the 20 years, we've become social entrepreneurs in the development of a process of training instructors so that they become the best teachers they can be. And in 2017, we decided to run a pilot. Actually, in 2016 was the first pilot internationally in the Dominican Republic. But in 2017, we said, okay, we're going to train a group of women, and then we're going to hold their hands as they learn and start to go and do the teaching in the field, and we're going to see how that works. Well, 2020, 3 years later, I am proud to say that that has turned into ESD Global, which I'll talk about momentarily. And what it's done is we are now working in a whole bunch of different countries. And I want to share with you our partners in Costa Rica. Huh?
Mi nombre es Daniela Lizano y represento el trabajo de ESD Global en América Latina y el Caribe. Soy de Costa Rica, ubicado en América Central, y actualmente formo parte de una red de 18 mujeres de 8 diferentes países que enseñan autodefensa y empoderamiento en nuestra región. Hace 10 años, en busca de confianza y una mejor sensación de seguridad, me uní a clases de artes marciales y fui una de las pocas mujeres en asistir. Después de unos años comencé a enseñar y estaba interesada en enseñar a mujeres y niñas. Sin embargo, no lograba esa conexión para que las participantes pudieran compartir o se sintieran en un espacio seguro. Me di cuenta de que estaba enseñando solo técnicas físicas, que era la forma en que los hombres me habían enseñado a defender. De por sí, así es como se enseña a defenderse de la violencia de hombres hacia otros hombres, particularmente en situaciones de peligro con extraños. Comprendiendo esta brecha y desconexión con la realidad que mis amigas y estudiantes estaban experimentando, busqué más herramientas sobre cómo las mujeres, las niñas y las comunidades marginadas podían defenderse de la violencia perpetrada contra ellas, y particularmente de personas que conocía. Comencé a enseñar más clases. Muchos de los hombres que habían sido parte de mi comunidad, mis mentores, comenzaron a tratar de disuadirme y al final se alejaron. En el 2017, una activista costarricense de derechos trans en una conferencia sobre género y seguridad presentó la necesidad de la autodefensa feminista en el mundo y en la región. Bot Mulies, nuestra actual coordinadora de programas de América Latina y el Caribe, estuvo en esta conferencia y comenzó a establecer contactos para descubrir qué era la autodefensa feminista. 6 meses después, se capacitó en un programa de instructoras en los Estados Unidos y regresó para enseñar en Costa Rica. Esto fue el comienzo de ESD Global, la organización con la que trabajamos hoy. Pod también comenzó a sentar las bases para organizar la primera capacitación de instructoras en América Latina y el Caribe, que tuvo lugar en el pasado julio del 2019. En el 2019, una amiga me comentó sobre este primer entrenamiento. Estuve entre las 18 mujeres para capacitarme en 2 metodologías de autodefensa y empoderamiento en la Universidad para la Paz de las Naciones Unidas. Mujeres provenientes de Costa Rica, Nicaragua, México, Chile, Argentina, Brasil, República Dominicana y Ecuador. También participaron las fundadoras de Ni Una Menos en Argentina, Marta Vino, Ana Gabriel, la campeona mundial de boxeo, oficiales de protección regional de la ACNUR, activistas de Chile y una rapera de Extapec, México, con las tasas más altas de femicidio en su país. Todas venimos de diferentes orígenes y diferentes países. Sin embargo, estábamos unidas en la necesidad de aprender las herramientas contra la violencia de género. Herramientas que nos ofrecen más opciones, herramientas que no son restrictivas, herramientas que se basan en nuestro propio autoconocimiento, autoestima y comprensión de nuestros propios contextos y realidades.
So, very proud of the work that's being done today. I can say that we are 150 graduates teaching in over 50 countries. There is a lot more work to do, and in order to do it, we need partners like the Israeli Embassy in Peru, and I am so thankful for their inviting me to do this. In addition to the work that we're doing on the ground to train teachers, because we do believe once COVID is over, that it is important to go back to actually working with people in groups. We realized during this year, though, that we want to be more accessible to communities that are further cut off from cities and the ability to actually come to classes. So we have now created some online courses. One of the courses is a free course called What is ESD? And it really is more or less this lecture, but done a lot fancier and with much more depth. And in addition, there's a course called Freedom to Choose that you can do online. And it will be available with with Spanish subtitling by the end of the week. And we will make sure that the Israel Embassy will get that link so that they can share that with you. And once we're dealing with I, me, my body, my right to choose, my right to make decisions, I want to take responsibility for how I respond, there's also a piece about the community. And so the third piece of what we are committed to doing is embedding violence prevention in all institutions and in all services. We need every school, every business, every company, every government to step up and say, just like we invest time and energy in preventing car accidents, we want to invest time and energy in preventing violence among people. And this work is super important. So I hope that you will join us. You can do so by becoming friends with LLEV through their Facebook page or through ESD Global. We are an amazing group of women and men who are looking to change the world so that we leave a better planet and better relations among humans to our children and our grandchildren. Thank you very much for having me. Okay, so do we have any idea how long that was? Don't know, hold on. He's gonna cut this off, so here, stop recording.